Carolyn Bracken Orr, and today's book, The First Time She Drowned by Carrie Kletter. I don't know if that's how you say it. Look at it. Figure out how to say it yourself. The book, The First Time She Drowned. Y'all, this book gutted me. I give it a 10 out of 10. It was so good. It's the story of Cassie, and she has two parents, like most of us dad, and two brothers. And for some unknown reason, her mother hated her. You find out the mother was abused by her granddad, by the mother's dad. But that gives no reason to do the daughter like she did. This is what the mother says to the child. She looks down at her tea and steers it. And she says to Cassie now, well, I guess that's the story, you know, isn't it? Nobody can ever care for you. You're so untrustworthy and manipulative. Bad things happen and no one is there. And that's in response to her being bullied at school. She's 14. She begins to decapitate dolls. At age 14, she tried to smother herself. She was a fat, lonely girl. She took aspirin in the cafeteria and tried to kill herself, and one of her fellow classmates rescued her. When she graduated high school, her mom gave her a suitcase, and that was all she got for Christmas. Her Christmas present was a suitcase. And her mom said, I hope you leave as soon as you graduate. Things got so rough that she and the mom began to verbally abuse one another. And the dad acted like he didn't see anything that was going on. Because they told so many stories, the dad and the mom, she was put into a home for 2.5 years. When she finally was released, no visitation, no calls. Nobody was there to pick her up, and she had to take a bus home. And when she got home, her mother was still mean to her. Let me find this other quote. Because there was no explanation for why the mother was so mean. As she's growing and grown, Cassie says, I think of my mother now, so different from the mother I grew up with. It feels so much easier not to hate, not to be angry, to believe that maybe it really was my fault. Maybe she really was trying to help me. Maybe that's why she lied. Maybe everything, my whole life, was just one big misunderstanding. After all, it's true, I wasn't perfect. I was a little rebellious, even if I felt justified. Even if I felt I was saving myself. And it would be so much easier to just believe that it had been my fault. If it was my fault, I could take control now and I could fix it, the bad thing in me, so that nothing like that could ever happen again. But it wasn't her. Her mother hated her with no justification. Here's another quote. My mother was right about all of it. No one can love me. I am crazy. She concluded that after being in the facility and indoctrinated with all of the other people who needed help. So that when she was finally released and started going to college, she had no belief in herself. The mom loved her children. She was fixated on the boys. She just didn't like the girl. She missed her homecoming because her mother and father eventually divorced. Her mother called her crying that she was having an emergency. She stood up her date to go home for the mother to talk about her and degrade her. She met a fellow at college who the mom determined was not good enough for her. Anytime she would make friends, something would go wrong and she would blame herself. On her first day of college, she waded out in the water and almost drowned. She got pneumonia and was in the hospital for days. And when she called home to tell them, nobody cared. When she was 6, she jumped deep into the ocean with no lifeguard. When she was 18, she had a trial in the Atlantic Ocean. Hence the story, the first time she drowned. Looking for any way that she could to get away from her mother and the mistreatment that she received. The book was good. I give it a 10. And it really makes you think about the dynamics of family and how a child is reared and how a child will turn out. I give it a 10. You read it, let me know what you think, and you be blessed.